yes, and you feel really when you're content, let Mamunina. Or come about argument is I friend one to the last day's inheritance. And I create you say program be a so in general. In I say to sound warning or caution so that the inhabitants of these last days will know the truth, and the truth shall set them free, and at the end shall all meet at heaven. So I'll give credit to evangelist Joseph Fanane Kakari, the rocks and opening Augustine. Or you might be an money in your good infinity. I mean, in show now. And I wish you made different. And then I made my core a also self party and my mom chain. I was a program use. And then to make the
What was the... It was an emotional moment in Paris after years.
Sorry. And then in team for the whole program, apart from the title and that's not the last day's events. Ye many we are seeing the pen Jumedi enche. It is where assassination. Now, no actually, I think why is Christ are a fine, ye free assassination. Then you share the senior friend, the gospel of climate change. Yamon pie. At a home, Madame. So, where you're buying, I'm dreaming now in Bianca. That's what I shared. Bring there was a more. That's all I kind of moment as an amen. So, the gospel of climate change, what does it mean? Coming to our local language, Rebecca said, the gospel, they sent Rebecca say, according to the gospel of Luke and Mark, but climate change. And then, tree for Becca said, Bobrian society, like the change in the weather patterns and the rest. The climate is the average weather condition of a particular place. Ghana, yen weather condition, atna say I will be able to see now and the passion and the climate. So now, because I said climate now, you say that the average weather condition in every place as you know. After you say it's such a yabble. I didn't you want to say, maybe share as a part of the gospel truth about it. The answer. Yes, I say no. I'm say you be see now. You be na kupon asem na ye be ni penti. You see nya be free Bible name. So you key text now Hosea 4:6. I say, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge, because thou hast rejected knowledge. I will also reject thee, that there shall be no peace to me, seeing that I have forgotten the law of thy God. I will also forget thy children. So Hosea is talking about Nyankopon say nimdia ne man nimti omera, because nimdia no mind wapo nimdia. So once you have abandoned the knowledge, meaning say this is meaning say omera. See. So the Bible can say nyansa fiti ase ni nyamso. So meaning that the people have rejected God. For that reason, they don't have the knowledge. And the knowledge too comes from God. So if they have the knowledge, meaning that you don't know what is at hand, so then you'll be destroyed. Okay, you quote something from some books. You quote the Bible area, I think books. That quote to free. The Review and Herald, January 30th, 1990, and after largest events, page 215, paragraph 1. I say, there can be only two classes. Each party is distinctly stamped, either with the seal of the living God or the mark of the beast or his image. We say every year, bra, yibenya a kuminu. One now so ya down tell. Either say ubekra atiasefo Nyankopon nso ano, and ubekra aboa no edina hyede. In the great conflict between faith and unbelief, the whole Christian world will be involved. It was an tawantawadi da GDNE in GD. a Christophone na don't move all will take sides. As I said, Opia a two afa. Can you say afa you? It's Opia ye afa. So some apparently may not engage in the conflict on either side. They may not appear to take sides against the truth, but they will not come out boldly for Christ through faith, fear of losing properties, or suffering reproach. All such are numbered with the enemies of Christ. So, and I was saying, you know, you mean they will decide like, almost go for it. Those almost go for it. Like they're in the middle. So everything goes. Can say about yourself? They are not going to be certain there. Either say you are on God's side or on the enemy side. So if you fear that you will not go for God, then automatically you are against Him. So if you are not for, then you are against. We also hear free review in Herald, February 7th, 1893. That's the event page 215, paragraph 2. Yeah, to also. Yes, you have a climate change, and then the gospel behind it. Until you have a call, and you know so. You screen also. Until I'm here in the field, so screen also never call. Be a basic piano. I want us to learn for ourselves. I don't want us to make us to Tima can be there. Young questions name will be for ourselves. The end to us.
Right now, we're facing a man-made disaster of global scale. Our greatest threat in thousands of years, climate change. If we don't take action, the collapse of our civilizations and the extinction of much of the natural world is on the horizon. The world's people have spoken. Their message is clear. Time is running out.
The amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere now is 50% higher than it was in 1900. And not only are we piling in more and more carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, but we are chopping down the forests of the earth at a great rate. And the forests themselves are the most efficient consumers of carbon dioxide that there are on Earth. We're going to destroy the ground because the soil of a rainforest isn't very good. We are actually tampering with the climate of the Earth and with the very atmosphere that we breathe. When we talk about the disappearance of the ozone layer, we don't know what will happen when the ozone layer goes. The world has become so fragile that we cannot subject the Earth to the tortures we can now inflict upon it. When we talk about the greenhouse effect, we're talking about something that affects the entire Earth. And these problems are life and death problems. They go to the root of the viability of the planet itself. If there's one thing that is biologically certain about the human species is that it is a human species, one species.
If we don't stop the destruction of our natural world, nothing else will matter. Simply put, if we don't protect nature, we can't protect ourselves.
We can solve a problem is by a human solution. Never can we sit back and wait for miracles to save us. Miracles don't happen. Sweat happens. Efforts happens. Thought happens.
So this is a video about climate change and its effects and how we can do or what we can do while between us see and occupy. And you're correct. Then to us. So climate change is a complex phenomenon and its effect can be seen in various aspects of our planet's natural system. So here is an example of climate change. 1. Rising global temperatures. Scientists who said since 1981, who said like years right now, temperatures now first news at room temperature needs to say that they say no and increasing. So I said the average global temperature has been risen about 1 degree Celsius since the last 80s, and the 20 warmest years on record have all occurred since 1981. So the 80s, you know like of course global temperature, you say there the last 29 year record they are now hard, huge, started from 1981. So 2, melting glaciers and sea level rising. Glaciers worldwide are melting and retreating, and sea levels have been rising by about 20 centimeters since 1880. At the end, you videos about the claims that you claim say true and say true. Now say what I'm saying is the American crime be a boa. I'm not telling you my type of you ever hear videos about those things. So 3, extreme weather events. Climate change is leading to most frequent and intense heat waves, droughts, and heavy rainfall events. When weather also say na asesa. First, sending can so within in so far the amount of temperature say na a bros are. They say a rate of bounty a cause then drought. So now you will heat waves be like you might shit. 4, change in precipitation patterns. Climate change alters the pattern of rainfall and snowfall, leading to drought in some areas and flood in others. See, I can't that often on I precipitation. Sorry. Hear that word we now. The word we are. We are all they're just talking about say how the rain is formed, how snow is formed. So that pattern you can see. So you know say change is happening. So and I'm saying to know that lead to drought in some places and flood in some places. 5, ocean acidification. The absorption of carbon dioxide by oceans is causing them to become more acidic, harming marine lives. You know, say they say, carbon dioxide now, you produce the baby. Most of them go back into the sea. In the sea has become more acidic. In life, they all see them, the fishes and the rest, they can't survive, so they are all dying. Now, 6, shift in seasons. Many regions experience change in the timing of seasonal events like early springs and later autumns. As we also said, we have 4 seasons. We also like the time that was first meaning said they were in changes to suburb. So shift in seasons, change in suburb. 7, increase in wildfires. Climate change contributes to an increase in wildfires, particularly in areas with drought with drought conditions. You also say, a just also, especially one like Suari or Monono. So, now I'm saying, so now the plants have become dry. So, you just two Nash. 8. Loss of biodiversity. Climate change affects ecosystem, leading to the decline or extinction of various plant and animal species. And I'm saying, we are losing most of the indigenous species. The more we bring down species, they are going to extinct. We are losing them. To come in a time, those animals and those plants, we can't find them anymore. So these are an example of climate change. 9. Disruption of food production. Climate change impacts agricultural productivity, fisheries, and other food systems, potentially leading to food insecurity. Say, nsuo ento or baby, meaning say, they won't be able to produce food. Say your oceans, it is losing oxygen and become more acidic, meaning that the fish will die. We won't get fish to eat. So because of that, in agriculture, we are declining. Food system is now in problem. The last one, human migration and conflict. Climate change can drive migration and conflict due to resource scarcity, economic disruption, and social instability. Say yet to be said, if you are not one thing you have to do is you have to move from that place. So because of climate change, human beings have been moving from another place and conflicts to this may be happening because they are fighting for the same food. So you have to fight, one have to win and take the food. So these examples illustrate the far-reaching impact of climate change on other planets, on our planet's natural system and human societies. Now, the 10 examples there are rare. I come to watch videos to explain our points. We can't say it just like that. No. You have to prove it what we are saying. So here is the video, or here are the videos.
Say the Earth simmered to its 6th hottest year on record in 2021, making it one of the most catastrophic climate years in American history. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA, in conjunction with NASA, released their annual assessment of global temperatures, which details the major climate trends of 2021. Officials say 20 natural disasters led to more than 600 fatalities and $145 billion in damages nationwide. Overseas, officials say nearly 2 billion people in 25 Asian, African, and Middle Eastern nations had their hottest years on record. This includes China, Nigeria, and Iran. They say the hot year is part of a long-term warming trend, and there is no indication it will slow down. For more,
scientists in the US say 2022 was the joint 5th warmest year on record, continuing Earth's long-term warming trend, and meaning the past 9 years have been the hottest since modern record-keeping began.
2022 is another top 10 year. It ranks roughly joint fifth with 2015. The warmer years were 2016, 2020, which were kind of joint first, and then 2019 and 2017 were quite warm. But it's another, top 10 year, cementing that long-term trend that we've been seeing in temperatures certainly since the 70s and since the late 19th century. So we're anticipating that 2023 will be warmer than 2022, both because the La Nina severity or intensity will be less, but also because, you got another year of the long-term trends.
Earth in 2022 was more than 1 degree Celsius warmer than the late 19th century average, leading experts to criticize governments for falling far short of what's needed to avoid the most devastating impacts of global.
We begin with breaking news about the increasingly dire state of the global climate. There's a new report just out this morning confirming that 2023 smashed temperature records. This is a report from the Copernicus Climate Change Service. It's raising the alarm at the speed at which the planet is warming. Temperatures in Europe, for example, above average for 11 of the past 12 months. September, that was the warmest month ever. Global carbon emissions from wildfires up 30%, and that was largely due to the fires burning right across our country. Nicole Martellaro is our senior science writer, and she's here with more on this breaking news from Copernicus. We knew it was going to be hot. How hot was 2023, Nicole?
Well, it smashed records, and the past record was set in 2016. This 2023 came in at 1.48 degrees Celsius warmer than the pre-industrial average, 2016. That average was 1.2 degrees. Sounds like that incremental, 0.2 degrees isn't a lot, but it is, and it has dire consequences.
And I say, 2021 was the hottest, marked the sixth hottest year. 2022, the same thing. 2023, new data confirms 2023 was the hottest year on record, with 11 months at above average heat. Global temperature rising.
The books, and it broke some records, but not records to be proud of. The European Union's Copernicus Climate Change Service says it was the hottest January ever recorded. Its latest bulletin says that temperatures were higher than average temperatures between 1991 and 2020 by 0.7 of a degree centigrade. It also reported that the global mean average temperature of the past 12 months.
Let's look at climate change now and another unwelcome
That is this year, 2024, January. It marks the hottest January ever.
record. February was the warmest February on record. And we can take a look at the numbers. They're pretty stark here. This graph tells the picture. That bar right on the far right-hand side there saying February 2024, that was last month. That was February and 1.77 degrees above pre-industrial temperatures, a record. You can see those bars there go all the way back to 1940 odd, and you can see the trend as well. The latest claims come from the EU Climate Service. To explain all the numbers, here's our climate editor, Justin Rolat.
Spring begins when the magnolia trees bloom, according to Cornish tradition. And spring came early in Cornwall and the rest of Europe this year. Temperatures across the continent this February were almost 3 degrees above average. The exceptional warm weather the world experienced last month did not surprise climate scientists.
European Union scientists say last month was the hottest March ever recorded. New figures from the EU's Copernicus Climate Service extend the world's run of record-breaking air temperatures to 10 consecutive months. The average was 0.1 Celsius above the previous high set in 2016, a significant margin by global standards. Our climate editor, Justin Rolat, reports.
Last week, the president of Zimbabwe declared a national disaster because of a deep drought in the country. Low rainfall has slashed crop yields, driving up food prices and putting an estimated 2.7 million people at risk of hunger. It is just one example of a pattern of heat and drought affecting countries as far afield as southern Europe and Southeast Asia. This graph shows how March continued the world's run of record-breaking monthly temperatures. This extreme heat has got many climate scientists.
Spring weather continues, and also an unwanted weather record.
It's true. With the details, his meteorologist David Keller. Hey, David.
Hey, Jacqueline, John, April in Omaha was a few degrees above average. If you remember, we had several days in the 80s and mid-month, reaching 88 degrees at the warmest. Not exactly record-setting here in Nebraska and Iowa. However, around the planet, average temperatures were at record levels, making it the warmest April of the modern era. This map here is from NOAA, shows some of the significant warm spots. Of course, not every location has record warmth. A little cooler there. Scandinavia, Australia. The analysis from Copernicus, it's a similar organization in the European Union, also declared April the warmest on record as well. You can see those really warm spots. This marks the 11th month in a row that we have seen record warm global temperatures. That trend started last year in June, and it doesn't appear to be stopping anytime soon. You can see that trend right there. Continues all the way to April 2024. It's also driven in part by record warm sea surface temperatures.
For the 12th month in a row, May 2024 is on track to shatter yet another monthly temperature record. This escalation in the global temperatures is deeply concerning. Compared to the pre-industrial era, in the last 1 year, both air and ocean readings exceeded historical highs for well over a year. Scientists point to human activity, particularly greenhouse gas emissions, as the primary driver behind this warming, overshadowing natural climate cycles like El Niño and La Niña. Data from Berkeley Earth suggests a staggering 95% chance of May 2024 becoming the hottest on record, continuing the streak of 12 consecutive months exceeding historical averages.
So, this is this year, from January to May, just last month. So May has a 95% chance of becoming the hottest month ever, just last month. Let's move.
Officials in Papua New Guinea now say more than 2,000 people may have been buried by Friday's landslide. Rescuers are digging with their bare hands or simple tools to reach the victims because of the lack of heavy equipment. Tons of debris buried the homes in the middle of the night when most of the villagers were sleeping. CBC's Dominic Velitis is in London and tracking this story for us. He joins us now live. Dom, good to see you. What's the latest?
Well, as you mentioned there, Natasha, one official at the National Disaster Centre in Papua New Guinea is saying that this landslide may well have killed more than 2,000 people. Now, that is much, much higher than the United Nations suggested over the weekend. It said 670 people were killed. It is, of course, Natasha, quite difficult to establish the exact figure. That probably won't be known for quite some time, but certainly we are looking at a huge, huge loss of life. Here's local residents.
Good evening. We're coming on the air with new threats from intense and deadly storms ripping through the middle of the country, killing at least 15 people. A dramatic and scary scene out of Texas, with as many as 80 people trapped under this gas station that collapsed, eventually rescued. In Oklahoma, a twister blasting through what looks like power lines. You see those flashes of light there. And in Indianapolis, lightning strikes delayed the green flag for hours at the Indy 500. Across several states, you can see from the air the scope of the destruction. Pieces of houses looking like matchsticks, with about 500,000 people without power. And it looks like more bad weather's on the way. 51 million people at risk of severe weather again tonight in the heartland. Priscilla Thompson is there.
Tonight, dangerous storms continuing a deadly tear across the country.
And the fans have been told to exit the grandstands and seek shelter immediately.
At the Indy 500 today, severe weather delaying the start of the race. Fans evacuating as lightning moved in.
Oh, there it is. Go, go, go.
It follows a violent night of deadly storms.
When it hit, it was just so loud.
Dozens of tornadoes ripped across the heartland, from Texas to Arkansas, killing at least 15 people, including 2 children.
We're in it. I can't do anything. Cover your head.
In Valley View, Texas,
I don't have service.
Officials say as many as 80 people were trapped in this rubble when the gas station they were sheltered.
Well, the death toll continues to rise after storms ripped across America's heartland over the weekend. Max Gordon has more from Sanger, Texas.
It's a lot of loss, big loss.
Folks throughout the central U.S. are assessing the damage Tuesday after a series of deadly storms and tornadoes rolled through over the holiday weekend, destroying hundreds of homes and businesses across a number of states, including Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Kentucky. But the hardest hit was Texas, where one tornado killed at least 7 people and injured 100 more. And here in the town of Valley View, residents are dealing with near total devastation.
I have never seen something like this. It was terrible. I couldn't conceive the strength that it had.
Overall, at least 23 people died in these storms. Some are dealing with the loss of multiple family members. People saying the wind and rain came on quickly, leaving them little time to evacuate.
I was texting my sister that it was going to be okay. Nothing's going to happen. And then we lost him. I didn't hear from him again.
And that was the last time you spoke?
That was the last time I spoke to her.
Officials are now trying to clear the debris and get life back to normal, but it won't be easy. Arkansas Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders saying bluntly that this is not going to be a fast process. And while FEMA surveys the damage, Texas Governor Greg Abbott says his office is ready to get to work.
They need your prayers. They need your support. And God willing, we will help them rebuild their lives as quickly as possible.
See, natural disasters. Now people are calling for help. So, yeah, you can. Luke 21, verse 25. A quote from Jesus will say, there will be signs in the sun, moon and stars. And the people what? Will be scared or be confused because the rolling of the sea and its waves. That's what's happening. Disasters. People are what? Dying. Let's continue. Here's another version of it. Let me forward it.
alagado, deviam estar abertos, os aviões saíram. Olha só que imagem. Esquerda, a gente vai ver que muita gente talvez tenha ido viajar, né? Foi viajar por alguns dias e acabaram deixando os carros aqui, né? Os carros do aeroporto também submersos ali. E o edifício garagem...
Disse, Cristiano, é impossível.
Essa dia impressionante.
Impressionante. Pô, acompanhando esse trabalho espetacular de vocês. Muito obrigado.
And we'll look at that right there. Unbelievable sight in the land of fire and ice. A volcanic eruption in Iceland sent lava spewing 150 feet into the air, forced hundreds of tourists to evacuate. Marcus Moore is on the scene in Iceland. Good morning, Marcus.
Well, George, good morning. We are about 30 miles outside of Reykjavik this morning, and I want you to see this. This is where lava crossed an entire roadway yesterday, and this morning you can feel the heat radiating from the hardened lava, and there's also a very distinct smell of gas. This as that volcano erupts just a short distance away from here. In fact, we have a live picture showing you really extraordinary scenes there. This eruption starting yesterday morning, just after residents were warned of increased earthquake activity. That lava shooting 150 feet into the air, coming from a split in the earth that stretches for more than a mile and a half. And this eruption, or this flare-up of activity here on the Reykjanes Peninsula really started back last November. That's when 4,000 residents were permanently evacuated from the town of Grindavik, where we are this morning. And officials also shut down the popular Blue Lagoon tourist destination because of this eruption. And George, I want you to see again this lava that you can see in the distance behind me, and also the heat waves in the distance. They have set up barriers to try to divert the lava away from the town of Grindavik. You see those buildings, and so they've managed to protect homes. But this is the land of fire and ice as it continues to unfold. Guys,
wow, that is some sight.
Yeah, I hope everybody stays safe like out there. Wow.
Let's continue.
species. Whatever it is, it's also causing more common fish like snapper and snook to act erratically and sometimes die as well. Ariadne reports from the Keys.
Yeah, so guys, it's truly a mystery what is happening here. We are in the Middle Keys right now, and what we're talking about is happening in the Lower Keys a few miles south of where I'm standing. So far, 20 sawfish have turned up dead in the past few weeks in the waters of the Lower Keys. And as you said, other more common fish are behaving erratically. So there's a team of experts combining their expertise to try to figure out what's going on here.
Sawfish are not supposed to die like this.
Unknown, rare occurrence. We really haven't seen anything like this before.
I mean, all of us obviously want to know why it's happened.
A U.S. town has been burned to ashes after the second largest wildfire in California's history swept through, destroying homes and businesses. The Dixie Fire reached the historic gold rush town of Greenville on August the 4th. Now all that remains are smoldering ruins. Greenville resident Jack Romero has lost everything.
Gone. It's gone. There's several times in the last week I've wished I could just go home. And then I remember you can't go home. There's nothing to go back to. Even if the house survived, like pretty much the rest of town is gone. There's no power, there's no water, there's no, you know.
Tonight, that series of fires still scorching Southern California. Roughly 116,000 acres now burned.
I never seen a fire like that before.
Flames leaping over the Pacific Coast Highway.
It's dangerous out there.
This man pulling over to save a rabbit on the side of the road. Los Angeles' famed 405 freeway.
Wow, look at this.
A fiery hellscape. In Ventura County, the massive Thomas fire showing no signs of slowing. Fueled by those fierce Santa Ana winds.
We cannot do this on our own. It really takes a village.
The fire chief there speaking to our David Muir.
What's your concern going into tonight?
Really, it's the winds right now.
What are they telling you to expect in the coming hours as far as the wind?
When you think of Siberia, you likely don't think about wildfires. After all, Siberia is one of the coldest places on the planet during the winter time, but in summer, temperatures can be rather moderate. But our changing world has made their summers increasingly hotter, and now officials in the region are battling an unprecedented crisis that has implications for all of us. ABC's Patrick Reeville traveled to Siberia to see the fight against the wildfires firsthand.
What can be one of the coldest places on Earth is on fire. Gigantic infernos burning across Siberia on an unprecedented scale, a climate catastrophe. The wildfires burning in Russia now are bigger than all the fires raging across the globe combined, bigger than those in the US, Canada, Turkey and Greece put together.
Chilly spring has held back the tide of domestic tourists expected to hit these beaches due to foreign travel restrictions. But it's not such a pretty picture under the water. Rising global temperatures and the impact of fertilizer and sewage have caused huge areas with no or very little oxygen, known as dead zones.
The Baltic Sea is the largest human-induced dead zone in the world. It is somewhere around 70,000.
So, we don't have any see talking about the acidic ocean. So there are some places in the ocean that we tell us dead zones. For maybe anywhere. So a working hold me at my so too. When you know will be able. So these are the effects of climate change. Then a scientist for ECAFAM. Into that video.
97% of climate scientists agree. Humans are causing global warming. It's one of the most famous statistics in all of science that experts, the people who know the most about Earth's climate, agree almost universally that humans are warming the planet. Where does this 97% number come from? The most famous source of the 97% agreement comes from a study in 2013 by Australian scientist John Cook. He looked at almost 4,000 scientific papers that made some statement about whether humans were the main cause of climate change. And 97% of those papers agreed with the consensus. To make sure nothing was misinterpreted, he also asked scientists to rate the views of their own papers, and they found the same 97% agreement. It shouldn't surprise you to learn that people have attacked this study, saying its methods were wrong, that it miscounted things. But even if we ignore Cook's study, turns out lots of other people have looked at this question and found a similar answer. Between 90 and 100% of experts agree that the climate is changing, Earth is getting warmer, and we're responsible for a lot of it. What is it?
So, scientists foresee 97 of them say human beings are the one who are causing the climate change. So, what are they going to do about it? Then almost some young family. You see, you say, almost say, 97 means I have 3% pay. Right now, I don't know, say, 3 or so come on there. But 97 say, Nipa in Yuma, and they cause the climate to warm or to change. So then, I'm here found. Young Queen.
My generation has failed in its responsibility to protect our planet. That must change. The climate emergency is a race we are losing, but it is a race we can win. The climate crisis is caused by us, and the solutions must come from us. We have the tools. Technology is on our side. Readily available technological substitutions already exist for more than 70% of today's emissions. And we have the roadmap, the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development and the Paris Agreement on Climate Change. And we have the imperative, undeniable, irrefutable science.
Openi Yefreno Antonio Guterres, a UN General Secretary on Ekasa. I say human beings are causing global warming, and the solution must come from us because we cause it. So they have tools. So what in here? What is now almost some of the tools? So you can some of the tools are now come answer. So here is it. We have the tools. So one, I say the roadmap. The Sustainable Development Goals. The 17 SDGs. The roadmap. Then Paris Agreement so on. Then the best science. That's the IPCC. And they have technology. So you can how these tools were the main and maybe free net at the adi. Any asempa a war home. I say it's a gospel. I did by putting aside it as a account. A didn't in your casa. So 2015, a year Pope Francis a letter. These popes no throw letters tonight. We call it encyclical letter. So Troy Anno 2D Laudato Si one care for common home. Troy and one baby one found market Uncle Tom said the and introduce our requirements for Navy or the command UN. Some final day. So Laudato Si again. So that was 2015. Pope Francis' encyclical letter emphasizes the need for sustainable development, environmental protection, and social judgment. It highlights the moral and ethical dimensions of caring for the planet and its inhabitants. So, summary about the book we in a book now, book no chokoma UN Laudato Si. Page 172, paragraph 237 or Casimbi. So I want to read it. I say Sunday, like the Jewish Sabbath, is meant to be a day which heals our relationship with God, with ourselves, with others, and with the world. Sunday is the day of the resurrection, the first day of the new creation, whose first fruit are the Lord's risen humanity, the pledge of the final transfiguration of all created reality. It also proclaims man's internal rest in God. So I say Sunday is like the Jewish Sabbath. Sunday is the same. So Pope after Krate Odakoma UN J Krate Oman Tanasi no so September call meeting New York. Then partner what they brought up and said they developed the 17 sustainable development goals from the Laudato Si. So after a day, after I Susudia or Anna so that you will free. Then they place the Laudato Si and its instructions in one of the goals. I go 13, the massacre go 13. All the demonstration in our share so climate action on a share.
What was the biggest promise made in 2015? It was the promise made by world leaders to transform the world. To make it fairer and safer, to protect the environment and to leave no one behind. The United Nations has set 17 goals to make this promise a reality. At Sightsavers, we're excited that our work is helping to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. We are working towards a world where everyone has access to healthcare. We are eliminating neglected tropical diseases. We are fighting for gender and disability equality. We are making sure no one is left behind. We are working with partners to make global change. We are leading the field in eye health. We are promoting quality, inclusive education. We are working together and changing the world. Find out more at www.sightsavers.org/SDGs.
So, this is the promise that you and Mickey. Now.
It was an emotional moment in Paris after years of intense.
So, let me say this. I'm going to develop that 17 goals we really know. So how? September. Then, November, they said the whole world, all those parties found in under the UN, some COP meeting, COP21 at Paris. So they went there. Then they took the 17 goals. Laudato Si near them. They took it there. Then they formed something and they made the name Paris Agreement. What the Paris Agreement was? So how to fight the climate change, they say where Paris Agreement and they are fighting because Pope has already by you and a jar too. Also, the age 17 sustainable goals about or the former COP and Athens was said in they say they have a year you have to be Paris Agreement. So maybe be I don't know we don't ever.
Negotiations, nearly 200 countries reached their historic deal on climate change.
I see the reaction is positive. I see no objections. The Paris Agreement is adopted.
It was the first time that world leaders had committed to cut carbon emissions to try and limit the rise in global temperatures to 1.5%. The following year, the US and China, the world's two biggest emitters of greenhouse gases, formally joined the treaty. President Barack Obama called it a turning point in the fight against global warming.
So, Omaja to Maria, after winning a very they were fighting. After China, US, Marco join. Then a beer other nations to join. So, what is Paris Agreement? We did a video, we don't have a Paris Agreement in. Later, you reckon kind only who say and also DTA. So, this is a video on Paris Agreement. What is Paris Agreement?
What is the Paris Agreement? The Paris Agreement is a legally binding international treaty on climate change to limit global warming to well below 2, preferably to 1.5 degrees Celsius compared to pre-industrial levels. This requires economic and social transformation to face the climate challenges now and moving into the future based on the best available science. The Paris Agreement works on a 5-year cycle of increasingly ambitious climate action. By 2020, countries communicate their plans known as nationally determined contributions. Countries communicate actions they will take to reduce their greenhouse gas emissions in order to reach the goals of the Paris Agreement. Countries also communicate actions they will take to build resilience to adapt to the impacts of rising temperatures. This may include information on adaptation and finance flows. The Paris Agreement also provides a framework for financial, technical, and capacity building support to those countries who need it. Starting in 2024, countries report transparently on actions taken. Collective progress under the Paris Agreement will be assessed through a global stocktake. This will lead to recommendations for countries to set more ambitious plans in the next round.
So what is Paris Agreement? Paris Agreement is an international treaty on climate change adopted by 196 parties due to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, that's the UNFCCC, in December 2015. It aimed to limit global warming to well below 2 degrees Celsius, above pre-industrial levels, and pursue effort to limit it to 1.5 degrees Celsius. So, the key element of the Paris Agreement: 1. Global temperature goal. They want to limit, almost limit it from 2 degrees to 1.5 degrees. 2. National determined contribution. Countries submit their plans to reduce greenhouse gas emission and adapt to climate change. So, we're not talking about plans are other nations in the percent already on the fight climate change. Now, 3. Financing. Developed countries agree to mobilize $100 billion per year in climate finance for developing countries by 2020. So, countries are said you only be not from developing. One this climate change be hit you. The developing countries are already say almost some money back to one. So, one can it have a show. Adaptation. Enhance adaptive capacity, strengthen resilience, and reduce vulnerability to climate change. 5. Loss and damage. Address loss and damage associated with climate change impact. Transparency and accountability. Establish a robust transparency and accountability system to ensure implementation and compliance. 5. 5-year review cycle. Countries will review and increase their emissions or ambition every 5 years. So, Paris Agreement, every 5 years, they are nothing. They are far back. Now, so the NDCs, the nationally determined contributions, yeah, on the back countries they are what do you know? How I read it is your drew. You've been wild to try on national. Yeah, what I said that we can fight climate change.
Paris Agreement
making history at the UN in New.
So after said, yeah, got the climate change tomorrow. Sorry, Paris Agreement not tomorrow. Yeah, can I say yes, sign. Sorry. You hear video answer.
Paris Agreement.
Historic Paris Accord to slow global warming. China and the United States, the world's top producers of greenhouse gas emissions, pledged to formally adopt the deal by the end of the year. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry brought his granddaughter along, symbolic.
So, world leaders are signing. So, world leaders signed to ratify Paris Agreement. That's April in 2016. We are Ghana. So, Ghana accepted the gospel. So the gospel na Ghana accepted the gospel. So Ghana said you are then time on the war on a person on behalf of Ghana. So now say I say really then we have to enforce it. So here we do it.
On this day, the Paris Agreement on climate change enters into force. It is a historic day for people and the planet. Every country has agreed to act to limit global temperature rise. Every nation has promised to build resilience to the changes to come. A new world of opportunity awaits if we follow a more sustainable path. But we need action from all sectors of societies, governments, businesses, investors, faith groups, young people, and citizens everywhere. Paris has shown that we can come together. Let us join hands to meet the greatest challenge humanity has ever faced.
So, 4th November 2016, it enters what? Into force. So, in here, I didn't know the gospel of climate change. Like that doesn't sound like say it is good, because you be BBI. So, how about the gospel of climate change? Revelation 14, verse 9, the telling them was surprising. Anyone who would take the mark of the beast in their forehands or their head must what? Suffer the wrath of God. So mark of the beast. Can you say before we started it, we read something about the seal of God and the mark of the beast. Meaning that we are going to talk about these things in relation to what this. Relation to this. So it says Sunday law. That's the mark of the beast, Sunday law. So the mark of the beast law is embedded in the Paris Agreement. He said, Mikaka said, go 13 and moon of the ancient. Let us in the action. I do need now for me the Paris Agreement. So what I say. So Sunday law, we are looking at the relationship between the Sunday law or the mark of the beast with climate change. The gospel of climate change. Yantoazu. Later, you say you trouble, you can live far. A year Pope is happy. Our car said Sunday like the Jewish Sabbath. Like the Jewish Sabbath. So let's go to the Bible and read the Jewish Sabbath. Moses went to Mount Sinai and came back with 10 commandments. And on the 10th commandment, the fourth one said, remember the Sabbath day and keep it holy. So Pope is saying that like the Jewish Sabbath, Sunday like Jewish Sabbath. So he is relating it on the same grounds. Like, or didn't need so prepare like the Jewish Sabbath means a like. Means that Jewish for Sabbath no Sanawa. So that is the UN and Rome shall come together on the Sunday law. So what Pope say, have you signed the Laudato Si pledge? But Canon said, Yangosan per you. Yangosan Laudato Si pledge you. You sign Paris Agreement. And then Laudato Si pledge. But Laudato Si is Sustainable Development Goals. And also Paris Agreement. So, Laudato Si, what you're giving the significance of the Sabbath to a Sunday. And I know that you are true. I'm already that for me the 7 Sustainable Goals. I go 13. The moon allowed to need a share. And that for me Paris Agreement. It's very when I'm fighting about climate change. So indirectly, Sunday law is on process. Pastors, was it have you signed the Laudato Si pledge? Yanko sign Laudato Si pledge. You sign Paris Agreement. So that you can fight against global warming, climate change. But Pope say, have you signed or signed the Laudato Si pledge? So therefore, like, let's mean that be vigilant. So if you ask now up to November 4th, yes, say identity force, Ban Ki-moon akasa. That year na November na USA then etwaba. Then Yiji on my baby from Donald Trump. On also by 1st July, we'll make this statement.
My solemn duty to protect America and its citizens. The United States will withdraw from the Paris Climate Accord Thank you.
If you
Donald Trump said, the United States on sign, the system sign. Now I'm saying they will withdraw from the Paris Climate Accord. It's the same agreement and accord they say. They will what? Withdraw. So US and China will sign both. Now I'm somewhere withdraw too. Then what is the world going to say about this thing? So Ban Ki-moon,
if US does not implement this one, or if they withdraw, then this will be a devastating impact to this global vision. This is not an issue of American political administration or president. This is something about humanity. This is something about our planet Earth, where current generations and succeeding generations and succeeding generations for millennia, they should be able to live in peace and harmony in affordable economic and environmental circumstances.
So Ban Ki-moon, if America does not implement, if they withdraw, to be a devastating impact the global vision. America so free. This is America Babaka. No one be implemented there. Now one can suggest to withdraw once from Babako. If they don't come and implement it, we should have implement it. Later, they don't America to implement it.
I was asked, what do you think about the President Trump's withdrawal from this
Paris Agreement. I spoke out that President Trump's decision to withdraw was politically short-sighted, economically irresponsible, scientifically dead wrong, and he will be standing in the wrong side of history. It was very widely carried out by BBC, and I have been repeatedly stating that he must return. I believe that U.S. will have to return as a global leading country. If not during his term, then soon they will have to come for humanity.
They have to come as a leading country. First, Nibuza or say to what? To implement. Now, also them to be what? Leading country. And then, Revelation 13, the second beast, also saying, he will give rise to what? The first beast. America in prophecy. So, America will be the leading nation. It's an come one, nothing can be done. Sunday law can never be implemented. They can never give rise to what? The beast that you know that the papers or the Holy See and the rest, as we know it, they can't come back. So America didn't work from there, then case die. It can never happen. It was then America has to what? Come back. America in purpose. To me, America no. But can you say Russia was still in, UK was still in, China was still in, but all the same also then France was still in, but all the same also then, if US does not come back, we can't implement it. They must come as a leading nation. They must come and implement it. So, Uko US Ube president a term is 4 years. So what do you tell me really as at Wawa? So now Trump also then into one. And they are 4 years already, a person. So 4 years no, a son, a Kotwawa, 2020. He lost. New one what kill. Or about a card day. Why I don't know the kind.
America is back. America is back. Diplomacy is back at the center of our foreign policy. That's why yesterday.
So, America is what? Back. Back to where? Back to where? The Paris Agreement. America is back. 4 years, America is out. Now, no, I'm back there. Then they are back to where? About there, the America is back to the Paris Agreement. So, here, 4 years America was out. We could not implement it. Now America is what? Back. 2021. America is back. And so it is.
President Biden signed his first executive orders, and Vice President Kamala Harris made her first move as vice president. She swore in 3 new Democratic senators.
So that video not dependent like in any way, but the dependent can be coming paper. Was it? The first one was signed, second one, the 10 on the sign. That's what the Paris Agreement now. Donald Trump had done the table for 4 good years now. Was one sign or buy with just a second, a minute, not a day, minutes was signed. So America is indeed back. So America is back there. Then we are saying any team for then we have to go and implement it. So COP26 that year 2021 Glasgow. They went to Glasgow. Didn't go see Glasgow. So COP26, the 26th Conference of the Parties to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change took place in Glasgow, Scotland from October 31st to November 12, 2021. The outcome of COP26 include Glasgow Climate Pacts. Countries agreed to accelerate efforts to phase down the use of coal, reduce greenhouse gas emission and achieve net zero emission by mid-century. 2. Paris Rulebook. COP26 finalized the rule for implementing the Paris Agreement, including guidelines for reporting and tracking process. So they finalized rules for implementing Paris Agreement. So your call Glasgow, when you Paris Rulebook, your Paris Agreement now, you signed 2015, you never 12. You find the rules. No laws are written. I'm not reading. You can get more progress. Like you know, progress like even as a petty I should be. So rulebook, national determined contributions. You can finalizing. It's like it's in the group. Loss and damage. You can also operate agreement. Carbon markets. The conference established a framework for carbon market, enabling countries to trade emissions reduction. So companies are produce those in the law by station. You can do their work, but the air to get effect. So adaptations you can. Youth and civic society. The conference highlighted this critical role of youth and civic society in driving climate actions. So on my end you said we all have a part to play. In the case of our the X is ours. So you see near carbon near there. Carbon to ensure our aim. After that, after say you call last carbon the following year, it's a different one. You call 27. We are called Egypt. 2022 we call Egypt. But you meeting on Korea and once I become of COP27. The outcome never later. Like any police program, and then come later. But my concentration now is the symbol of museum. You're using symbol, don't know museum. So what does the logo for COP27 symbolize? So here I said circle boom fin, and I said let's be a shedding in Queen. So Egypt's primacy of 27th session of the Conference of the Parties to the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change, that COP27, has launched the official logo of the upcoming section of the conference, which will be held next November in Sharm el-Sheikh. The logo highlights the unique cultural identity of Egypt and the African element in the ancient Egyptian civilization. It also displayed the sun as one of the most important cultural symbols on the African continent, which in turn embraced the autumn sun, which rose over a new horizon. The 18 sun. So they have taken the meaning of a fight area. I am symbol. 18 sun. I'm going to symbolize Egyptian civilization. Okay, let's go to the Bible. We had a crack. Egypt. See, Egypt they worship the sun. So let me finish free Egypt. So Egypt worship the sun. That's right. Then come out to Babylon. Babylon also worship the sun. So it means that sun god. Rome too worship the sun god. So the Sunday was what? The sun god. So Sunday for sun god, that we worship what? Her. So like previously, Sunday law, you relating to her. Like I say, we are getting our answer. The gospel you can answer me. You answer. Answer neighbor. And was similarly, the son of Aten, which it raised ending with human hands, expresses the generosity of nature that gives us means for life, welfare, and prosperity. In the middle, a new horizon stretches to express hope for a better future. So I don't know the kind now you're married. I want to skip the ocean, but I was Mr. Kenny before say it depicts the African sun embracing the son of Ethan, whose relation it can't annoy. But me the baby circle view. They say a kind of master. Anyone them say a kind. Aten is a sun god worshipped during the era of Phosphatic time, man. You pharaohs, no, like Joseph Matan pharaohs, no. They worship sun, so sun god. So meaning say I offer sun abano. Sun god, Sunday Lord. If you want maybe I'll be free back. The gospel of climate change, you know, will be a free back. You trust so. A.T. Jones, 1904. This is a paragraph 42. What's that? For its outward form and expression, the idolatry of the nation. This nature worship has always and everywhere centered in the sun. So you share Aboson the center is sun. It is almost impossible to find in the history of the world a form of idolatry that is not connected with the sun worship. In Egypt, under the name of Ra. So, the center is sun. In the ancient, you know, certain area sun. So, unya be Aboson is not connected to what sun. Egypt near friend Ra. Rome have their name for it. The disk of the sun by the name of Aten was an emblem of his worship. Of his worship. The Roman Catholic Church has been greatly influenced by pagan church worship, as you can see in its use of the pagan symbol of the sun. Rome, you know that the papacy came from pagan Rome. We get Papa Rome. So pagan Rome, they worship what sun. It was sun worship, and then the Sunday was for it. The Sunday was for the sun god. Anna Papa Rome here, a PK New and a Roman church. So Roman church worship on the sun. You from what they inherit from where? Pagan Rome. The Roman Catholic Church adopts the common practice of honoring Sunday, but to them declare that God gave them authority to change the Sabbath from Saturday to Sunday. Sabbath. Pope Kasai Kase Sunday like the Jewish Sabbath. I have Roman Catholic here say God gave them authority to change the Sabbath from Saturday to Sunday. So meaning that the Sabbath day has in not being Nazi. So what I say. So can you say why of all symbols, you are going for a meeting, you want to take what? Okokofa area. Can you say Abunzumbia is not, you know, Zumbia or one man or Nasran or the foundation is not Sunday worship or sun worship. So sun worship, yeah, every Sunday near then, it is area. So see the Sunday in the Abyss. So indirectly you are worshiping sun. Then if you are worshiping sun, then idolatry took him from who? Satan. To me, you are worshiping Satan, the dragon. But the Bible said the dragon gave it power and seat to what? The beast. So what I say. So the honest say a climate change in every prayer. It is good. You want to share. We are fed up. And we are bought too much in so funny part. And said normal. But we should not go and take Sunday. But not that day. No. But they are using it. So they are using like the climate change to be like a cover up. A cover up for what? A cover up to worship on Sunday. Sunday worship or Sunday law. So, okay, previously, evangelist Druckson Augustine, any more religious cover up. So it is like a cover up. Climate change is like a cover up for what they are doing. So what I say. Now that was COP 27. There's the symbol. Now COP 28. They call UAE, United Arab Emirates. You understand? And also symbol here. We are saying now like I said could be beard wool. I know she said. So then can I say or say the COP28 official brand logo showcasing one world concept. One world concept. Can you say that you also considering the fleet, mix of what clay and what metal, they can never come together. So one world concept, you can one. I know against Nakopon Maraku, Sunday yesterday, you can't move my year so like some was not made to talk to or my no. Omutum Ponede, Eddie, what have had yesterday. The gospel of what? Climate change. So, you and your COP28 last year, we don't know about it.
The UAE will host the COP28 Climate Summit. The conference will be held at Expo City, Dubai from November 30th to December 12th. Here are 3 things to watch out for. Number 1. COP27 in Egypt closed in November 2022 with an agreement to create a loss and damage fund. This fund goes to vulnerable countries affected by floods, droughts, rising seas, and other climate disasters. A committee was set up to see how the funding arrangements will work. Decisions on this loss and damage fund are expected to be made at COP28 in the UAE. Number 2. The first review of the Paris Agreement on climate change, which began at COP26 in Glasgow in 2021, will conclude at COP28. It is a process that evaluates the world's progress towards achieving the goals of the agreement, which was negotiated in Paris in December 2015. Each 2-year review takes place every 5 years and evaluates the global response to the climate emergency. And number 3, the summit in the UAE will also represent a landmark in the fight against global warming. In 2015, governments agreed to try to limit the average global temperature increase to 1.5 degrees Celsius. But a report from UN Climate Change shows the world is at risk of missing that limit. At COP27, governments were asked to revisit the 2030 targets in their national climate plans. Countries will be expected to come to the table with stronger and more ambitious climate strategies than they did in 2022.
Okay, so strategy in here, that is the NDCs. The NDCs, the National Determined Contribution. Be out in here. The okay now by concentration is on the second one, the Paris Agreement. So last year, they finalized everything, the rule book, or maybe a rule book, no, so they kind, maybe a rule book. No. So the outcome of COP28, 1, global stocktake, a comprehensive assessment of collective progress towards achieving the Paris Agreement goals, highlighting the need for increased ambition. 2, mitigation. Countries agreed to enhance their nationally determined contribution by 2025, aiming to limit global warming to 1.5 above pre-industrial levels. So mitigation, like they are serious. Almost contribution, they are the NDCs, and they almost by 2025 in there. And I said, don't never be a dear orphans or your countries or any BR. I said, ultimately limited or to ultimately reach 1.5 degrees Celsius. Adaptation, you can answer. Loss and damage, fund money, you can answer. Financing, you can answer. So you can answer more. Just transition recognition of the need for a just transition, supporting workers and communities affected by the transition to a low carbon economy. The transition so the way carbon don't know so better to save our lives, to save the oceans, to save animals, than to save human beings and the planet. Climate resilience. Agreement to enhance climate resilience, including through every warning system and climate information. 9. Oceans and the psychosphere. Emphasis on the importance of ocean and psychosphere conservation and management. You know the ocean, the psychosphere is the glaciers and that's ice age for them. I maybe I'm not say not no. They say I'm secure we here put up to them say I don't know the ice age, I don't know serious say we are a should be and barriers. 9. Gender and climate change. Recognition of the critical role of gender equality in addressing climate change. As long as the gender equality about it. So these are the plans. The rule book, Paris rule book now is being drawn. Also, the trial said ecocide law. I mean, man, and so measure that law. You shouldn't be cook me and what the crop. I'm about to end, but I want to play these videos. It's two in one. I want to play this video to end everything for today. The following we meet the next time. So like.
Humanity has only 2 years left to save the world. That's the message from the UN's climate chief. As more people worldwide deal with record-breaking temperatures and natural disasters, what more can be to make the dramatic changes needed to prevent irreparable damage to our planet? That's the warning from the UN climate chief Simon Steele. The scientific challenges are immense, but Steele warns it's overcoming political challenges that will make or break the battle to reverse our current course of events. And he says rich countries need to step up to tackle this crisis.
Social and development trajectory of Brazil. There's a couple of copies there. But with that, Simon, over to you. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Anna. So, 2 years to save the world. Good afternoon. Some of you may think the title of today's event is overly dramatic, melodramatic even. So let me start by explaining why the next 2 years are so essential in saving the planet. Fifth and finally, every citizen in every country has an opportunity to be part of this transition. Every voice makes a difference. This year and next, we will need every voice more than ever.
Okay, I don't want to hear more.
So you heard it. 2 years to save the planet. Last year, we call meeting we finalize it. Paris rule book no. Paris agreement, they said rule book account. Last year, this year, almost 2 years to save what? The planet. And the years no mentioned and then be at 25, 26. So they'll almost starting from this year, 2025 to 2025. Sorry, 2024 to 2025. Almost I say early by 2025. And so then country be almost NDCs no. I'm the back. So 2 years to save the planet. This year. Next year, this year. This year, you say you get half a view, like a half. This year. So remember, time is near. Paul said, I've been since you're a GD4. We have no time to waste. Revelation says, for the time is at hand, a burner bay. So this is the last chart that we have to screen also. So, I'm going to go to the prophecies now. It's the beginning of the final persecution and final time of trouble. We say yes, many break to establish say they protect the world. Until like wow, you know, not become a hindrance behind you. You have to clear you. That how to bring the persecution. So Sunday law, the Paris Agreement, you know, it says TRC. So whenever it's just that the moon seven year juma, a moon seven, let us see no issue inside. So let us see in the head, a boy in the cheek. And I mention Sunday law, and yes, side, let us think come one. We will never mention Sunday law, never. But and I'm saying, let us see no mention Sunday woman. You didn't mind it. I know Kadi Babu man. Sunday law. Yeah, you then what next? Probation ends. The 4 angels release the winds. Revelations 7 or verse 7 or 6. 4 angels no so we are from an or major. I don't mind. So all cases will be decided. So salvation is now. You can never question of salvation. It is now. So persecution starts from where Sunday law is to where Christ will come and save us. Or Christ will come back to take us home. So what are you doing? So whose side are we on? Now I'll make it whose side are you on? When China or starting there, can say two sides, distinct side, and then pen. Two sides. Either you have what? The mark of the beast. Or you have the seal of the living God. Two sides. The choice is yours. I can never choose for you. You need to choose somehow. Who to choose somehow? I have to choose. Anything I can consider, when the Cocobo sent me there, Tihosia can say, lack of knowledge, my people perish. Nimbia Yim said, I don't know continue. Bayer. And so Yami Shroud, if you say, Woman, baby, or one will acquire a fast over. So the choice is yours. The hour is late and the stakes are high. There is not a moment to lose. We can't lose every moment. Today is the time. Christ is coming. One day you will be with him in heaven. So whose side are you? I will end here. Hope that next time when Christ give us lives back, or when we are still in good health, we shall meet again. Shalom. Bye-bye.